Mr. Sridhar may begin with and address us and tell us about the journey so far of the RTI Act, and because he had the actual feel of the subject, being the Central Information Commissioner for 5 years.
Thank you
Sir.
very much, Mr. Kishan Jain. It's a pleasure to be associated with all of you on this important topic in this important occasion. I'm very happy to see the high dignitaries have joined this webinar. Each and every one, I wish them a good evening, and sir, wish you all the best and wish all of us all the best in these COVID days. We have to stay safe, and I pray God to give us complete health. Okay, now coming to the subject, sir, it's a very, very important legislation, continues to be important legislation, our Right to Information Act 2005. 15 years journey we have passed through, and 15 years have given us a mixed experience. We cannot say that it is a failure, and I can fairly judge it as a wonderful success, because crores of people are asking for information. This is the first point I would like to say in praise of Right to Information Act, and people have understood it. People have filed number of RTA applications. People have got a good number of responses and information also. I don't have any doubt about it. In fact, I can tell you, where serious government interests are not involved, their government also is giving information to the people. Absolutely, they are giving the information to the people. Where there is a fear that they will be exposed, they are trying to hide the information. They are trying to fight against the RTA applicant. That is what is going on. And I totally agree with Mr. Kishan Jain when he said it continues to be attitude of mindset. I completely agree with him. Even today, most of the public authorities do not want to give information. Most of the PIOs fear to give information. Most of the PIOs are not in a position to take independent decision to give information. This is the problem. There are number of public information officers. There are number of good officers who want to give information to the people. They love transparency, but the difficulty is they are not free to give information. The centralization of power is happening within the department, within the state government, within the central government. That means a department head wants to have complete power, and a minister wants to complete power in his department, and a chief minister wants complete power in his state, and similarly prime minister wants complete power in his hands. This is the situation. Centralization of power, bureaucratization of power, and then the love for secrecy and fear for disclosure is what is obstructing free flow of information and access to information. This is a general comment on the attitude of the public authorities. Then what I would like to say is there are three stages that are created by Right to Information Act. First is Public Information Officer, second is First Appellate Authority, the third is Second Appellate Authority. And the Right to Information Act clearly says that the final buck stops with the Central Information Commission or State Information Commission. That's all. It doesn't go beyond. But there is a general judicial review power available to constitutional courts, according to which any question, any decision by any authority can be reviewed by the High Court and further reviewed by the Supreme Court. And this is a writ power, power under 226 and Article 32. And if anybody feels that his rights are deprived of by not following correct process of law, they can knock the doors of High Court, and High Court can question. But what is happening is this writ jurisdiction has become third appeal, which is not provided in Right to Information Act. I am not opposed to review of the orders of Central Information Commissioner and State Information Commissioner. They should be reviewed, and it's a great remedy that we should have. And I am not having any doubt about the judiciary also. Judiciary has to review of the decisions of such kind of authorities. I have no problem about it. But what is happening is, who is asking for review of review power of judiciary in case of orders? How many orders of CIC or SIC for disclosure are being questioned in writ petition? How many orders of CIC or SIC of non-disclosure are questioned in high courts? This is an interesting study one should do. In my understanding and according to my experience as Central Information Commissioner for 5 years, 90% of writ petitions are filed by the government against disclosure orders. When Information Commission asks government to disclose the information, they are asking for judicial review. When some commission holds that some body as a public authority, they dispute, saying that they are not public authority. Imagine a situation where a governor says he is not a public authority. Is it not a wonderful thing, sir? Governor, and the case is yet to be decided. Governor is a constitutional authority, but he says he is not public authority under RTA Act. Now, you all know Supreme Court also fought it. Supreme Court says that first I am not under RTA Act. Then it came under RTA Act. I am very happy that it was giving information. But someone called Subhash Chandra Agarwal, he asked how many judges have filed their assets and liabilities list to the Chief Justice of India according to their own resolution of ethics. Then the matter went up to Supreme Court. It goes to High Court, Division Bench, and then Supreme Court. And Supreme Court takes 9 years or 10 years. And recently it pronounced an order saying that generally Supreme Court is under Right to Information Act, but Chief Justice Office is separately not under Right to Information Act. I'll give you an example. If a irrigation department of a particular state is public authority, entire irrigation department is answerable under Right to Information Act. Everybody knows it. Then go to next point. Whether executive engineer working in a particular region, is he a public authority? Answer is yes. Whether chief engineer is a public authority? Answer is yes. Whether engineer in chief is public authority? Answer is yes. High Court is public authority? Answer is yes. Entire judiciary is public authority? Yes. Supreme Court is public authority? Yes. But Chief Justice of India, public authority? No. And that is the judgment. So every authority wants to wriggle out of the bondage of answerability, bondage of accountability under Right to Information Act. So litigation about the character of public authority, in my view, is a big challenge to Right to Information Act after 15 years of experience. So I request others to switch off your mics, mute your mics so that we can continue. Some of the mics are still open, sir. If you mute it, we can speak freely and you can hear happily. Thank you. If not, your voice will be coming and it gets disturbing others. Okay? Sorry for this interruption. So first is mindset. Second is the problem of public authorities claiming that they are not public authority. Imagine Attorney General of India saying, I am not public authority. Imagine Solicitor General of India saying, I am not public authority. Imagine Advocate General of some state saying, I am not public authority. Come on, where is the end to this? So this is, and I, in one of my hearings, I gave an order that office of a minister is a public authority. Not only that the ministry is public authority, but office of the minister is also public authority. Because someone was asking information, sir, when can I meet my minister? If somebody is under RTA Act is asking, when can I meet my minister? After he tried to secure that information, failed, he filed this RTA application. And the office of ministry sends it to ministry office. Office of minister sends it to the ministry's office, where principal secretary, chief secretary or secretary will sit. And he says, we do not know. Because we do not know how minister chooses his time, his appointment. How can we say? So there is no answer. We don't have information. He will not transfer it to office of the minister. Then the case came to me in second appeal, and I said office of minister also is a public authority. And they challenged it. They went to High Court, and High Court said that I am wrong. High Court considered that office of minister is not a public authority. Come on, imagine this situation. What will happen to Right to Information Act? What is the basis for this conclusion? And nobody goes in appeal. Because it is government that went in a writ petition to High Court, and High Court declared minister's office is not a public authority. Who has to take the case in Supreme Court? The person who lost the case. Who is that person? A person, a poor man, common man, who is trying to achieve an appointment with the minister. He could not do. and he wanted to use right to information. He could not do that also. Do you think he could not defend the case properly? Because he did not even defend. He simply kept absent. He did not go to High Court. So, Central Information Commission will not defend the order in the High Court, because it is up to the High Court to look into the merits of the case and decide. So what Information Commission can do? Even though Information Commission has a lawyer, he will represent the High Court, his role is minimal. An active role has to be played by the party. Party is the person who sought the information but failed. And he doesn't have enough capacity, he cannot afford the Supreme Court judge, and he cannot go to Supreme Court and fight a case. So what happened? In a principle which is not in accordance with the access law, a principle which is not according to provisions of Right to Information Act, not in tune with right to information, which is part of fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a), remains inaccessible. And who has to be blamed for this? So this is the position. I am only talking about systems. I am not talking about individuals. An individual doesn't give information, we can fight. If he gets transferred, we can get the information from the next officer. But I am talking about systems. So in a system, if you have such a kind of judgment that can come up, and you cannot answer this, what will happen to the information needs is a big question. Then another important point I would like to tell you as a experience with the experience as Central Information Commissioner, the persons or authorities, the government of India files cases, government of a state files writ petition. Against whom? Not against the person who sought the information, against the Central Information Commissioner who gave the information, who gave the order of disclosure. Why, sir? It's a tribunal type of a body. It gave some order based on the merits available before it. It gave an order. And if you don't like the order, go and take it to review and get it annulled. What can anybody do? Like Office of Minister order has gone into the wind. Let this also go. What can anybody do? But you want the Central Information Commission as a party. Do you know the nomenclature? So-and-so department versus Central Information Commission. Even Supreme Court. Initially, the title of the case in Delhi High Court was Supreme Court versus Subhash Chandra Agarwal. Not Subhash Chandra Agarwal. Supreme Court versus Central Information Commission. In what way we are in fighting with you? In what way I am a party to it? Technically, you may say you are a proper party, you are a necessary party, you are a protocol party. But you are making Central Information Commission, instead of defending it, you are making Central Information Commission a defendant, respondent. You are supposed to defend, but you are offending, and it has to defend. So these are all certain systemic lapses that they are being grown up. And can you imagine how many writ petitions are pending against the orders of Information Commission for disclosure? Can you imagine? When I am in service in 2018, there are 1,500 writ petitions against only Central Information Commission. Kitne sahab? 1,500. 1,500 writ petitions. Do you think that CIC can fight it? And can it get established a law which is intended to be a disclosure law according to Parliament of India? This is the problem. So then, third point I would like to say is First Appellate Authority. The First Appellate Authority is the most weak link in the entire system of Right to Information Act. They are not trained. They are not responsible. There is no accountability for First Appellate Authority. Central Information Commission has no regulatory power over First Appellate Authority. They are not answerable to anybody. They simply endorse the order given by PIO. That's all. See, most of the information requests need not reach, say, Central Information Commission or State Information Commission if First Appellate Authority independently decides the cases. That's not the case. So it's the most weakest link in RT Act. Then fourth challenge I would like to tell you is Section 4(1)(b). Section 4(1)(b) is a fantastic section. It is the heart, liver, kidney, or whatever you think is Section 4(1)(b). Then Section 4(1)(b) says you have to give voluntarily so and so information. There are 17 categories of information to be given. I'll give you an example. The remuneration paid to public officer has to be given on its own under section 41B, class 10, if I small Roman 10, if I am correct. If there is any change in the number, excuse me. So they have to give remuneration details of public servant. But do you know what they say? Wife asks for the information because she has filed a maintenance petition. Husband is an abuser and he is a public servant. He doesn't want to give the information. He will not give. And he will not allow PIO to give information. PIO says, it is personal information, so I will not give. Sir, salary of a public servant. Oh, forget about public servant. Salary of a husband. Salary of wife. Is it a private information, sir? And it says, Act says under 41B, you give on your own, even without asking. So you must have a list of public servants in your official website, and you must tell X is being paid so much of salary. It's a public information, and your law says that it is public information, and you say it's a private information. And most unfortunate is, even judiciary accepts it. It says, no, why you should know the salary details? This is the situation. Okay, now you look at this, look at the definition of information. Very interesting definition of information. It says memos, emails, circulars, opinions collected, and orders given in quasi-judicial things. 41C. See 41C. What 41C says? If you have given any order in a quasi-judicial capacity. What is quasi-judicial capacity, sir? When there is a complaint of breach of conduct or misconduct or violation of code of ethics by a public servant, there will be a hearing, show cause notice, response, evidence, conclusion. Suppose conclusion is cutting a increment or transferring or something, withholding an increment or admonition, censure. According to section 21F definition of information, this is information you have to give. According to your 41B, you have to give this information also. How many performance related cases have been filed? What are the actions you have taken? You have to tell it is performance of a public servant for public. But Supreme Court says in Girish Ramchandra Deshpande, very, very, very surprisingly, that the information of action, disciplinary action relating to disciplinary action against a servant is a servant and employee related matter, internal matter, not our matter. If it is a private authority, I agree with you. But if it is a government office, how should I agree with you? So this is the method. So first of all, you don't adhere to 41B. You don't implement 41B. If someone says give information under 41B, you say it should not be given. So these are the systemic failures, systemic obstructions to free flow of information. One more point. I'll tell one more point and then conclude. Two more points. This is 41B. If a public authority doesn't implement 41B, who is responsible? Who has power to check it? Information Commission doesn't have any power. Nowhere it is written. Very cleverly it is eliminated by the great bureaucracy of this country. They have simply eliminated the accountability, answerability of 41B. Now what to do? 41B is the most important part of Right to Information Act. I say there are two parts of Right to Information. One is transparency, the other is RTI. Transparency is reflected in 41B, entire section 4, at least 4.1. And you have no accountability. Nobody has power to question you. So people have to file writ petitions, but nobody filed a writ petition for implementation of section 4.1B. Perhaps you people have to think about it. So lack of accountability or lack of power to Information Commission to implement section 4.1B is another systemic defect which becomes a stumbling block in free flow of information. Then, then you have this exemptions clause, section 8, section 8.1. Section 8.1 has several clauses which impose restrictions on disclosability. But in 3 occasions it talks about public interest override. I am not going into details. But you see section 8.2, very, very important section. If you ask me, which is very important after 4.1b, I say 8.2. Do you know what 8.2 says? 8.2 says, if there is a comparison between public interest being achieved by disclosure and public interest being achieved by non-disclosure, or harm of disclosure and harm in non-disclosure. If harm is less in disclosure, order for disclosure. If public interest is higher in disclosure, order disclosure. That is what section 8.2 is. That means what? The comparative public interest clause under section 8.2 will operate entirely on section 8.1, whereas public interest override in 8.1 operates only against 3 clauses. That means what? Public interest is important. That means again what? The PIOs and first appellate authorities and information commission should have proper understanding of what is public interest. And if you have understanding of public interest, you will order disclosure. If you don't have, you will not. And let me tell you, sir, nobody in this country, no PIO, no first appellate authority, and very few information commissioners. Sir, for your satisfaction, I'll say most of the PIOs and most of the FAs and most of the commissioners do not have proper understanding of public interest. And this is another stumbling block. Then one more point, that is about this blocking. What is that? En bloc exemption to organizations. There is a list and a schedule under Right to Information Act, and all of them are out of purview of Right to Information Act. And who will decide it? Executive will decide it. Which executive? Central government. And what? Take the example of what executive has decided. It exempted CBI from the disclosure norms. Why CBI is exempted? Is it an intelligence agency? Is it a border security force? Or is it something different from police? No. Police is not exempt. Defense is not exempt. How can CBI exempt? I understand if intelligence bureau is exempted, I can understand. But how can you exempt CBI, which is none other than police? So this is a wonderful exercise of power by the executive. Okay, these are. Lastly, let me talk about the information commissions. Most of the information commissioners today are bureaucrats, former bureaucrats. The reason is government believes in bureaucracy, and they are honored, they are gifted the post-retirement benefit as a post-retirement benefit, this position. So 5 years they will be in the position of Judge of Supreme Court. Okay. If anybody independently acts, it will be a very serious threat to Government of India, Government of State. So what to do? Remove the independence of Information Commission. So we bring an amendment, and amendment says that you are no more of a rank of Supreme Court judge or election commissioner. You are ordinary joint secretary or some secretary level officer. So they affected the vital part of Right to Information Act, that is independence of the institution which is created for adjudicating disputes about disclosability. These are, according to me, the main challenges that we are going to face. I did not explain the advantages because you know and I know better what are the advantages. I don't say, I am not disappointed. I will still say that there is still life in Right to Information Act. As long as public interest clause override is available, you have every power. If you understand public interest and if you establish public interest, you can still demand information from the public authority. That benefit is still there. Nobody can kill it. So there is life still in Right to Information Act. Right to Information Act continues to be one of the best, not one of the best, the best legislation in the world. I'll tell you, Indian Right to Information Act is the best legislation in the world. Though somebody after recently said Sri Lanka is number one, I don't agree. Some of the parameters were not considered by the by the agency which was giving these ranks. I wrote a very detailed research article on this, saying that the criteria selected is wrong, and if you go by correct criteria, Indian draft of Right to Information Act continues to be number one in the world. So let us protect this number one enactment, which is number one in the world. Let us train our people about the public interest, and let us also train PIOs, First Appellate Authorities and Information Commissioners on the point of public interest, so that we can retrieve some access there which is being lost. And let us tell the government that you cannot meddle with Right to Information Act. We have to tell the government. Thank you very much for this kind of opportunity. I conclude here and I'll open it for other discussions.